Very good morning, everyone, once again, to officially begin the session. After two consecutive sessions, actually, we were discussing a little bit about the ground, or rather, the cornerstone of simple academic writing, to name, the research writing. And we happened to look at the basic tenets. And of course, we tried how, as writers, can we improve our agency and identity while being coping up with generative AI and the rest of the modalities available. So it was a bit of a what you call interactive journey so far, and of course, it was sort of a much more free milieu where we're going to function because since we have the AI models by the side of us, in one hand to assist us, and while we have ourselves as the researcher in the center, and while we have the support of the technology on the other hand to nurture our research, it's absurd if you are not going to make use of them all. So that the whole cause, all in all, is gonna be relying on the tenets that yes, technology, yes for that, AI, yes for that, but still keeping our identities, getting AI as part of a supportive role while highlighting ourselves, pitching our research with an identity in the bigger field of publishing. So, with that, what we are going to do today is, we looked at what this academic writing, academic voice, and all that. Today, we'll be looking at some of the basic strategies where how this academic integrity issue and, of course, research identity issue could be established. I wish everyone is ready to go ahead. And today you are supported by even subtitles, right? So let me see a bit of an emotion from you, maybe in a form of a thumbs up or anything, indicating me that you are ready to move ahead. Thank you. I'm receiving a lot of them. Yes, great. So, as the title slides say, academic integrity, paraphrasing, and source integration. Now, we came to know the bigger phrase, which is gonna sort of appear in front of us in our research writing as a barrier, that is plagiarism, right? Or rather, writing done by generative AI or any other supported fields, or rather simply copying and pasting from original articles and claiming them in your script as of your own. So this is the big, big, big monster applying in academic writing. Today we are going to sort of solve ethically and in a strategic way, making ourselves authentic and credible writers in the journey of academic writing. And for that, we'll be discussing a bit of strategies which are apparently working in the world publishing industry and of course are the vibe of the industry at the moment. So academic integrity simply means you are complying with the standards and the limits of plagiarism, and you are complying with the academic honesty norms, and finally you are going to be sort of incorporating yourself, your voice, your knowledge, and everything with the support of the sources in a way that the world cannot reject. So we all has to convince themselves, yeah, this is the way. For that, we'll be using strategies like paraphrasing, and we'll see how the original sources could be integrated, embedded in our writing, while maintaining the academic integrity, addressing the monster issue of plagiarism. So we'll be looking at advanced techniques for STEM researchers. When you simply get definitions of whatever source material from any published source, the typical exercise is, you just take the extract, and what you're doing is quite simply you're going to replace some of the words with synonyms, perhaps, right? I'm just, describing what most of the researchers do these days. Or rather, you may be simply altering bit of the subject and object, or else you may be simply turning its voice from active to passive and passive to voice active, vice versa, right? So these are typically the ways that you are currently practicing the whole scene of getting sources into your writing. We call this patch writing. Why patch writing? We get the writing from the original authors and we simply do a bit of a patchwork and get them included in our writing, and we show, let me say, to say precisely, we pretend that we wrote it, or rather we appropriated that in our writing. So we actually need to go beyond this patch writing, right? Because true that what you're doing in a research write-up is getting yourself located in the pilot seat, getting the whole ocean of research, which we find as the literature, as part of the discussion. So they are also agents of our discussion. And you are dealing with an audience who are going to read your research paper, and you connect as the pilot, as the one who runs this whole mission. You're going to get the sources connected, the audience connected, and your logic centrally located in your expression, right? This is not a simple task, but at the same time, this is not a very difficult task. This is going to be a doable task. And if you are going to establish this whole, what we call connection, or rather connecting the dots between the reader, the resources, yourself, and your logic, if you connect these dots together in a strategic way, you're going to surely establish yourself as an academic writer. Guys, can you respond me with a little response? Did I correctly articulate what you were doing as patch writing in academic, what we call, when you get the sources and do embed them in your writing? Did I tell correctly what you are doing at the moment, or rather, do you have anything to add on top of that? How you are currently doing this business of getting sources and get them embedded in your writing? I would love to hear your voices because you are actually doing it right now. And maybe your diverse experiences on the way how you do it might help someone else to, distinguish their strategies. Sharing good practices is always good. That will help the bigger audience. Can I hear from some of you how you are doing this at the moment? Maybe it's patch writing, but still tell me how you are doing it. I'm not going to invite a particular individual, but just contribute. Hello. I wish I'm speaking to a living crowd, not to a set of chatbots. Hello, friends. I'm waiting for your voice to come and, convince me that you are there, connecting with me, connecting with the subject, and connecting with the lecture. Right. Aslam says, he first understand the content and then getting the understand the content, then start writing in my way. Well, that's a wonderful way. Yes, perfect. So you simply, yes, go ahead.
So how about having let's say one of the sentence from one of the paper
Mhm.
uh, inside a quotation? Is it okay or better way to express it using a paraphrasing? How about that?
Yeah, Pamela, that's a good starting point for us to begin. Yes. Now, getting quotations, or rather direct quotation, is an ethical way. You get the quotation and you put them within quotation marks and you cite where you got it from and you start your dialogue. That's one of the ways. The other thing is getting the idea of the main source and putting that into your own version, which we call paraphrasing, and still you're citing and go ahead. That's another way. But which way is better is a decision of yours, because if you are to begin a whole big journey with a direct quotation from uh, another source, you have to ensure that the very quotation that you're taking is one of the logos in the field, because your whole logic is going to start from there, right? So it's not a bad idea. It's a good idea and an ethically correct idea, but still decide by yourself whether you're going to get a quotation in and go ahead. If you're getting a quotation in and go ahead, ensure that your quotation is going to centrally, and very strongly locate your logic in the very first place. And if you're paraphrasing, what you're doing is you get the gist given by the original writer, but you still add your voice into the write-up. I think that's again a good way. But I'm not prescribing which way is best. But to tell you all frankly, what you write and how you write is a decision of yours, and it's part and parcel of your identity, right? Well, thank you for waking up your voices. uh, that gave me the sense that I am dealing with this crowd lively. Well, let's move along the slides and see what we are going to discuss today. Thank you for the ideas brought into the discussion. Yes, today we have set certain theoretical and practical goals as expectation for the day. So we'll be trying to distinguish the legitimate paraphrasing, and we are going to contrast that with patch writing or mosaic plagiarism. We are going to contrast these two, and this contrast is going to made for you to understand which one is the best way to do. The second thing is we'll be understanding the hierarchy of reporting verbs in engineering. Now, this is bit of the language engineering that will help you in your write-up, right? How can we understand the hierarchy of reporting verbs and how that hierarchy could better position your argument in your write-up. And as a third theoretical goal, we'll be looking at, or rather, we are trying to audit AI for hallucination. AI is doing that marvelous job of, fabricating things, and we are going to audit that particular thing as part of our writing journey. And we have set aside some practical goals, as you can see. We'll be applying syntactic restructuring to technical text. Now, syntactic restructuring is simply the engineering of language that you're doing in your write-up. So we'll try and apply that procedure here. And we see how select precise verbs to define your stance. Now, that is about reporting verbs. Once you come to know the hierarchy of reporting verbs, what happens to you is you become capable of employing the right word at the right pitch and right punch in the right sentence in right position to very precisely locate your logic in your write-up. And practically, we'll be verifying how AI generated citations could be authentic or could not be authentic. So keeping those objectives in the center, we'll be moving on on our mission to reach those learning outcomes. So the central problem that makes us think of the whole thing that we are discussing today is patch writing. If you look at the definition of patch writing, it is quite simply replacing specific words with synonyms but maintaining the original sentence structure. Now look, the original writer has written it in a sentence structure, and you are keeping the same structure, the syntax of the whole quotation, and then you're going to replace certain words with synonyms, maybe with different phrases that replace the existing words, and you claim that it's your writing. This is actually the most common form of unintentional plagiarism. This is unintentional because you try to make sort of an adaptation of the original text, but this is an instance where it get fails. L2 writers means we think in our mother tongue, we process information in our mother tongue, but we produce, or rather we create our research in someone else's language. That is L2, that is English. So look at the example. The original sentence says the reactor core overheated because the cooling pump failed. Now, this is patch writing. We simply reactor core has been replaced with the nuclear center, right? Overheated, we happen to translate that into got too hot, right? Just compare the two. The nuclear center got too hot since the water mechanism broke. Now, we actually, you might feel like in this particular instance, the patch writing appears to be a little creative, but as it follows the original sentence's word order, or rather syntax as it is, and it is stated in the same direct way that the original writer has stated it, this is still patch writing. So how can we solve? That is our target today. Let us see why this patch writing is going to be dangerous. Because if your writing is flagged, or rather, detected by your reviewer or your examiner as just patch writing, it signals that you do not fully understand the source text. Now, patch writing is simply a signal for your reader to tell that this guy is actually struggling with the source text. If you show, or rather indicate, give a signal to your reader that you're still struggling with the original text, your credibility of getting your message across with that reader is going to be a little difficult, right? So do not think of making your writing sort of a patch writing, because this simple signal that you give to your reader is not a good sign, right? And the biggest threat comes softwares like Turnitin and other plagiarism softwares typically use algorithms to check the original text's syntactic order and the writer's text syntactic order, so that the algorithm is actually set on the syntactic order of the basic original source. So if they follow what we call similar syntactic order, these plagiarism softwares simply detect them as similarities, right? So it's a central, what we call central conundrum or a problem complication that we find. And when you're using patch writing, it actually prevents you from engaging with the original idea in your synthesis. Now, originally, the literature brings you an idea, right? And you also project an idea on your reader. And if you're just going to use the original source in bit of a patch writing in your write-up, what happens is your synthesis, or rather your write-up, is not going to properly mingle, embed, or rather get involved the logic and argument strongly in your write-up. So this is a huge danger. So what is the fix? What is the fix? Fix is apparent. What's it? You must change both the vocabulary and the grammar structure. When you get a source into your writing, keep in mind that citation is a must with which you establish your first adherence to academic integrity. The second thing, to be in the safer side from Turnitin and plagiarism softwares, and to be in the safer side from you being detected by your reader as someone who is fully engaged with the source text, what you have to do is quite simply change or rather alter or rather replace both vocabulary and the grammar structure altogether, right? So this is little exhaustive, but that will help you digest the source text first and then integrate that with your own identity and your own signature in your own writing. Well, I have a simple question before I moving on to the next slide. So it is, well, let me ask the question. The question is how to fix patch writing threat. Quickly send me it in chat or else you can articulate it in voice. If you simply look at the screen, you will see where it appears in the bottom. I want you to articulate in your own words. Quick, 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 please. How to fix the fast writing danger. Friends, I'm waiting your response because I want to feel like, I'm not speaking to a screen, but I'm speaking to my dear fellow researchers who are doing a wonderful job in their academia. Come on. Oh, guys, are you angry with me? Or you wanna rage, you wanna drop a bait to rage up me. Come on. Is my question clear? As far as we have discussed so far, how best you can fix the patch writing danger? How best you can fix the patch writing danger? Hello, friends. I want your answers. It seems these fellows are becoming not so friendly with me right now. Did I make any mistake?
Actually, sir, I have this experience because
Mm-hmm.
uh, one or two times I uploaded my write up to the Turnitin and it gave me a high percentage of similarity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to this converting it into my own words, sometimes I found like the given sentence is better than mine, and I thought like, how can I even change it using my own words because this sentence is very much better than using my words. Sometimes I feel like that as well. And then in that case, sometimes I'm used to use these quotations because the given sentence is perfect. If I'm going to change it, I think it's not worth to use it. So sometimes I'm using quotations. Inside that, I'm using that sentence. So
Well, that's a wonderful idea. Not really wonderful. That's a very valid and authentic idea. Now, if you get a source where you made couple of attempts to paraphrase it and still you find the original source makes the better sense, right? Then you do. And actually, exactly to be precise, those are the extracts that you have to take as quotation. You're doing it quite right, right? Your practice is quite right. But still, with the new strategy that I taught you, not only the vocabulary, but also the grammar structure, if you can change both aspects of your source extract in your paraphrase, I'm sure that it will work. Try it out.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you for raising your voice because it brings actually a solution to one of the frequently asked questions. What is it? Where to use a quotation? Where to and when and how to use a quotation? Yes, the very principal rule of thumb in getting a quotation is you read the original source and you try to digest it and you try a couple of times to paraphrase it, but with all of your paraphrases you realize the original writing is much better than what you are doing, right? So you decide then, yes, it has to go in the original author's verbatim words, then only it will make the sense. Use it, but do not be what we call a victim of this. If you feel like all of your paraphrasing are weaker than the original, it's your duty to ensure that you improve your paraphrasing skills and make a stronger paraphrase than the original sentence. That will be once again an indicator for you to deal with source text in the first place. Secondly, this exercise will help you to better digest the source, and it is only when you digest the source text that you become able to reproduce it in a meaningful and much more effective way. So there where what we call, if you can explain the original idea in an analogy, right? Maybe using a different analogy, maybe using a different metaphor. Yes, that is how it to be done. So we'll discuss all these things. Thank you for raising your voice because that solved one of the critical questions, as I said, when and where and how to use a quotation in a uh, write-up, right? Got it. Thank you. And let's move on. We actually provide you syntactic restructuring, or rather we call this linguistic fix, right? It's the way how language engineering is going to help you. So what we are going to do, we are going to make the paraphrase legitimate, for which we are going to perform a little surgery. We call this syntactic surgery. I'm sure no medical student or surgery student is here. If you are there, I'm sorry for using the surgery as a term here, but this is a bit of a surgery because we are taking something off and implanting something from our cells, and we are going to make something new, which we call a sentence or a paragraph, right? So strategy one is actually changing the subject. We'll be discussing it in detail and we'll try it in class. If the original subject was the researcher, now this is, say for example, in the original source, if the subject was the researcher, you can actually alter the subject. How? You get the new subject to methods or results. So if the original write-up is there with researcher's point of view, giving that researcher tells it, researcher is put in the highlight or spotlight, and you are going to do the change the subject from researcher to method, maybe to the result. So in every scientific claim, there are three elements involved: the researcher, the method, and the result, right? So you can give the spotlight from researcher to method or results, from results to method or researcher, from method to result or researcher. So this is one of the ways that you can simply change the subject with which we can actually do a better paraphrase. And the second strategy, to tell it in a nutshell, we actually change the word forms. Word forms in the sense, that, certain sentences are written with verbs involved. We can go for turning the verbs into nouns and nouns into verbs. We call this nominalization and denominalization. You'll see how best these two strategies might work in your writer. So in that case, what we are doing is, the original writers word forms are going to be altered effectively, making it much more appealing and new than the original sentence. So we'll try out these two strategies. Uh, in our writing. So if I'm to ask all of you to engage right now, use your chat space and tell what two strategies, not in the words that I have written it on slides, but in your own words, tell me what are the two strategies that we are going to discuss now. Send in chat. I'm giving you 2 minutes. And if any of your friends can remind me time now, I can go to mark attendance. I think it's high time. What time is it?
8:36.
8:36. Okay, we'll wait for another half an hour to mark. No worries. Friends, I'm waiting for your chat responses to see what strategies we are gonna try today to fix the patch writing error. What involves in syntactic surgery? There are two steps. What are they? You have to put the idea that I discussed so far right now and which I discussed in this slide into your own words. This is also a paraphrasing exercise you might see, right? I explain, you read, and you digest, and you process, and you put that into your own words. That's what we call paraphrasing. So quickly paraphrase the two strategies and send it in chat. Friends, it's early in the morning. Don't forget to engage. I know that you're energetic, maybe before breakfast, but still, you can have the breakfast while sitting in front of the camera. I actually happen to have my breakfast a little. And today also, I'm joining from not from home, but I'm joining from Gaul, where I came to join an event in this afternoon. I felt, event at 2 o'clock cannot be attended if I am to finish the lecture at 11 and drive. I thought of coming. So last night I reached Gaul and I received a very, what you call, delicious breakfast, acknowledging my friend. Come on, I'm waiting for your responses. Paraphrase the two strategies that I just described and send it to me in chat. Come on, my friends. What are the two steps of syntactic surgery that I'm suggesting? I can sense how, when you process information and when you put that into pen, how lethargic the exercise is. But these exercises are a must. Without doing this, what we call api singaleen kiyana satata abhyasaya, right? Without practicing it once and again, often, it won't be part of our practice. So make sure that you start little, continue, and persist with the practice, and eventually you'll realize that you are improving as a writer. So, friends, send me quickly. I'll be disappointed if you do not send your paraphrase in the next 30 seconds time. And my advice is never hesitate to speak because I want this, voice of yours coming into the discussion. Unless what happens is I might be talking about language engineering or linguistic fix, you are in a different STEM field. If our engineering fields are not going to be interlaced, it will be, waste of our time. We have to make sure that we are investing this time to improve our write-up. Come on. If I can read at least just one paraphrase sent by one of you smart fellows, I'm glad. What are the two steps of the syntactic surgery? The linguistic fix. මට කියන්න කාරණේ පැහැදිලි නැද්ද? ඔයගොල්ලෝ කම්මැලිද? එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒක නිකන් විකාරයි වගේද මගේ රික්වෙස්ට් එක? Or maybe you are still trying to put it into words? Quickly send it in chat. It is sent. It is sent. It is me who did not look at them. I'm sorry. Right? Well, perfect. Perfect. Most of you have responded. Decomposition and reconstruction. Minoru happened to simply, digest the whole idea, right? You decompose and reconstruct, okay? Reframe the idea with a different subject, yes, Vanuka, and shifting between nominalized, yeah, or denominalized forms. Okay, let's try these strategies right now. Here we go. We are going to do a bit of a writing task now. What's it? We are going to start our syntactic surgery. We have here an original text. Smith 2020 argued that high temperatures degrade the structural integrity of the polymer. There is one constraint I set. What is it? Do not use Smith as the subject. Now, in this particular original text, Smith functions as the subject, right? You can alter the subject. That is first strategy. Second strategy, the second constraint, change the verb degrade into degradation noun, right? Nominalization, yes. Target is a sentence like what I have given. The structural integrity of the polymer is subject to degradation at high temperature. Okay, it's your turn now. Quickly take this original text, do the syntactic surgery, changing the subject, and then nominalization and denominalization, and bring it to the chat. I have made the chat space able to be viewed by everyone so that your friends' write-ups will be viewable for you. So quickly send me your not so patch writing, but after the syntactic surgery to this original text. Now, one particular advice at this very moment. Yes, Nipuni. We can move between active and passive, yes. Nipuni, yes, you can switch between active and passive, and I'll discuss maybe in a post discussion forum where to use passive and where not to use passive. That's a different, simple discussion. But yes, you can switch between the voice. But here in the two little strategies, surgery strategies that we use, we do not talk about that switching the voice, right? We talk only about switching the subject and nominalization and denominalization, because they are the most advanced and, of course, most viable ways of getting this done. Minura, thank you for beginning to send it, being the first. Degradation of the polymer structural integrity occurs at elevated temperatures. Okay, great. So you did the changing of the verb. Thank you, Malaysia. The structural integrity of the polymer degradation happens at the high temperatures, has been argued by Smith. Right. Okay, you took Smith to the end of tail end. Yes, great. But ensure that you cite Smith with capital S. Rizma, thank you. Increased temperature deteriorates the structure of polymers. Smith 2020. Well, now I have a little concern over the very verb that you are using. Your attempt is great, but when you come across, the very intensity, or rather very sensitivity of a verb to illustrate what you think, you will realize where it went wrong, right? There is nothing wrong in it, but your choice of word selection has a little minute issue. But overall, your attempt is great. Binura, Nilakshana, and Nilupul, thank you for your responses. And I wish that others are also keep posting. Yes, thank you. And my dear friends, well, thank you, Pramod and Sachini. Nizal, thanks. Now, when you engage in such a way that, we set a task and you do it from your end and you send it and I acknowledge you did it, I think this is what we can make it a happening place, right? Kusal, great for great attempt, and Pankaja, thank you. Make sure, guys, that you do not directly send it to me, send it to everyone so that your friends can also see what you have written. I don't need to then read it up. Well, I'm happy that you all are responding. Now, you know what happens since you all guys started this research communication program, I actually am missing my Saturday workout. Earlier, I got used to go on a workout Saturday or Sunday. Now my Sundays are a little hectic. Now Saturdays also happen to be a little hectic, but I'm not, simply telling you to stop coming, but come here and let us do the workout here with our brain. Yes, our brain muscles, our nerves, our yes, our neutrons, what we call our neurons, go firing so that our morning is going to be worked out so much. So we'll give a brain work out. Well, thank you very much, Chamat, Rashmika, Tilina, Dharani, Pankaja, and all who have sent your responses. Great. Everyone, please keep on posting. As I told you the other day, now most of your chat responses, activity responses provide me with rich data to do how this, online modalities work. That's number one. And to decide how effectively the strategies that we communicate are grasped by you. So it's a test of intake and input, right? I said the input and your intake is indicated through what you send back as your responses. So I'm thankful to all of you. Chamat and Vigashini. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your first name, Vishwanathan.
Vigashini Vishwanath.
Vigashini. Okay, Vigashini. Thank you. So keep posting your responses. So did you sense that? Did you sense that it's not simple preaching, but we come to know certain strategies, and now you are making use of those strategies. And this is the way that we can make this learning happen. And as I promised you on the very first day, we are not going to have an English class. We are not going to have simply a typical orthodox English teaching, but we are teaching you how to do this engineering, re-engineering thing with which linguistic inputs. And we actually are trying our best to connect you with not just experiment, but we are going to give you insights from research that happens on writing studies. And with that only it's with the writing research that we are informed, and that's what we are bringing into the classroom. Well, Metsuri, Rashila, and Kaumada has sent their responses. Thank you. Great. Subhashini, thank you. Naomi, thanks. All that confirms me that my goody fellows are engaged. Shashini, thank you. Well, shall we move on with the slides? Giving you time to post your responses. Thank you, Jananga. Well, with that, let's move on to what we are supposed to do next. When I say we are moving on, it does not mean that you should stop sending. If you are working on your paraphrase, once it's typed out, send it here. As I told you, they serve as credentials for me to see how my input happens to be processed in your brain and how it is produced as intake, right? Thank you for providing witnesses for that. So syntactic surgery is something doable, and you will see that these syntactic surgeries give you a second chance to engage with the original source. Why? You read it, you digest it, and you do syntactic surgery with which you are going to better digest. Now, let me ask one question once again from, I can't remember the name of you, ma'am, who spoke in the very first instance talking about, the original sentence was very effective so that you use the quotations. How do you now feel now when you get this little exercise of Smith? How do you now feel this paraphrasing exercise? Does it make sense that paraphrasing is easy when you know the syntactic surgery strategies? Can I hear from you, please? I'm sorry if I slip your name. I'm sorry because I do not really care remembering the names, but you can make your name remembered by speaking and by engaging. Can I hear from you, ma'am, on your experience when you try this syntactic surgery, how you felt? Maybe any random individual can respond. What happens to our gentleman? I want gentlemen to keep speaking because it's your voice that has been dominating in the world. True that, female voice is surfacing and we want them to dominate us. Come on, can I hear from one of you how this exercise, the syntactic surgery, felt in you?
I think this is easy because now we have framework.
So, thank you. It means that I made your exercise a little easy and strategic. Am I?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for raising that point. So we'll move on. So syntactic surgery is clear. You alter the subject. So now we are going to strategically look at and step by step look at how this whole surgery could be better performed. Reporting verbs, every sentence has a verb, right? Reporting verbs actually are giving fuel to your write-up. Reporting verbs are regarded to be the engine of citation. Look at what I'm prescribing you. In engineering, simply saying engineering or any STEM field, if you simply say X says, Y says, Sam says, and so on, you see it's going to be too weak in terms of argument and in terms of your positioning of the particular source. You must define your stance. Now, your definition of your stance means how what X says is going to be taken by you and how you project it back to your readership. This is what we call your stance. Reporting verbs actually, it allows you to attribute credit to the source and the statement. And when you attribute credit to the original source, that is one way of getting this one of the facilities given by these reporting verbs. But on the other hand, you can actually strongly or loosely or hedgingly indicate how strongly you take that claim into your argument. That also can be indicated through your work. And you can indicate whether you agree or disagree with the statement. Now, this is why these reporting verbs are really, really important. This is not about the original sentences paraphrasing. This is about when you connect original sentence in your dialogue, in your write-up, in your narrative, how you report the particular claim in your own writing. So you see, it can attribute credit to the source and the author, and you can actually indicate your claim in a strong or what we call neutralized tone. And of course, your reporting verb informs the reader whether you are agreeing or disagreeing on it. So keep these three functions the reporting verbs do. If you know these functions that a reporting verbs do, your redraft, or rather your narrative, is going to be much, much, much effective. Let's look how can we do it. Reporting verbs, in terms of indicating how certain that you take the particular statement given by a source, there are three stances that you can take. You can simply take it as neutral. You just report this person's idea is reporting. X did this. You just report it. So the hierarchy is that it's neutral. You do not add any emphasis. You do not add any punch into it. You just report what the writer did. That is neutral certainty. And second thing is you put it as a tentative, what we call vibe. Why? You set the original writing given by the source. You actually question it. Maybe that you want to suggest something new on top of it. Maybe you imply, so you speculate. So you do bit of a test of the certainty of the claim given by the original writer. We call this hedging, right? And the third stance that you can take is actually you can strongly, fact-provingly establish the very idea given by the writer. Now look at these verbs. When you use a set of verbs like describe, discuss, state, and present, they are indicative that you do not take the very original source very seriously. You are just reporting it. And if you use a reporting verb like suggest, propose, imply, or speculate, when you start your narration, you indicate them that, yeah, the original source is there, but still the source's claim is taken by you with a bit of a room for you to alter, suggest, or rather, it is taken in a hedging sense, unsure sense. And if you say Smith establishes, Smith demonstrated, Smith proved, so you see, you strongly take the original idea, and in that, you actually predict your position, how strongly you took it. You see? So choosing the wrong verb perhaps can misinterpret the sign. I'm sure that responding to one of your chats, I responded that, be careful about your verb selection. This is why I told you, your reporting verb indicates your stance, whether you take the original claim neutrally, tentatively, or strongly. Did you get the point, my dear guys? When I call guys, it means that I'm trying myself best to be a friend of yours. That's number one. And I consider gender neutral. Thank you, guys. Yes. I'm glad that you are responding with me. So how you feel the morning and what is the time now? I have no sense of time because my screen is put on the immersive mode. Can somebody remind me the time?
It's 9 o'clock now.
Perfect. Shall we go and do attendance marking? Quickly move on to the Moodle page where attendance is given. Yes, I'm showing you the Moodle page where attendance is marked. You can go to attendance. Yes. Once you go there, you can actually mark your attendance. I'm going to play it right now. And before that, I'll show you the password. Today's password is STEM, STEM, which is all in what? Caps lock, right? Well, so let me play attendance. Now you can mark your attendance on Moodle. Today's password is STEM, STEM, all caps. Is there any difficulty you are encountering while marking your attendance? I think there isn't any. Now, friends, you must be wondering, now in this technologically enabled world, with LMS in place, how easy and smart things are, right? Now, these are seen by, undergraduates as, simply terrible headaches. But how much of work it has been, eased. Those days we take nearly 15 minutes marking attendance, sharing it in a signature sheet shared, and perhaps it's just one single person who is writing on behalf of 10 of your non-attended participants, and attendance sheets indicate all participated, but in classroom we find not even the half. So those absurd practices are now outdated, right? So I wish you gone through the attendance marking. We can come back to the discussion. Shall we?
Sir, what is the password?
STEM, STEM, all capital. So use capital letters S, capital T, capital E, capital M. STEM. STEM.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. Shall we move forth? How do you feel about the first hour we spent? Did you get any new insight to sharpen your writing craft? Or rather, did I simply kill and waste your time? Thanks for the thumbs up. They indicate me that you all happen to invest your first hour efficiently in a productive work. Well, let's move forth. Select the verb. This time also we are going to do work. Quick fire quiz. This is a 10-minute quiz. Look, see. Scenario A. A paper shows a clear mathematical proof of x equals to y. Which verb you are going to use? Suggests, proves, discusses. Are you clear about the situation, the scenario? A paper shows clear mathematical proof of x equals y. What verb, which verb will you be using? Is it proves, discusses, or suggests? Why? Yes, you all are responding me proves. Why? Your reporting verb gives your stance. What's your stance? It's a clear mathematical proof. So that it's proven. It's proven. Good? Okay, let's move to scenario B. A paper finds a correlation in a small sample size. The sample is 10. Now, you have to look at the sample size, and a correlation is found, but the sample is small, so that you cannot take it so seriously. What you would be using? If the sample is very small, like 10, can we take it in the gravity of a sort of strongly established? We cannot. Does it demonstrate a wonderful, what you call, very strong evidence? Perhaps within the sample, but sample is our concern here. So that we have to go for suggest. If you use the very word demonstrate, you have to indicate in the sentence what? Within the context of the small sample, right? But still, if you choose the very verb demonstrates, that's a very strong taking of the correlation. But you cannot take it very strongly because the sample is little, right? Okay, great, great. Now, did you realize that there is a significant impact in your decision of taking the reporting verb in your narrative of literature writing? Your reporting verb can do a lot. Did you realize it? Yes, Bhanuka, your point is correct. Well, let's move on. I wish you all detected and convinced yourselves that your reporting verb matters. Metsuri put a question, can we use observation if the sample size is small? Yes, we can use observation, observe, yeah. because it's again a miniature observatory for you to see how it happens in a bigger picture. Yes, you can. That's why we say often, your reporting verb indicates how dare seriously you took it, or how lightly you took it, right? You got it? Well, was that discussion on your reporting verb a fruitful, convincing discussion? Please respond me. Ranking from 1 to 5, 1 means less impactful, 5 means very highly impactful. I want all of your responses on chat indicating from 1 to 5 in which level you agree that the reporting verb discussion worked on you. Thank you. Now, you might now see why we are here to help you. Thank you, Bhanuka. You had 5 plus. Now, you are doing your own research and you're writing it, and you don't know what happens effectively in writing process. That's why we are here to look carefully into writing research and how trends are set in writing research, and to extract the best strategies for you so that you'll be making use of those best strategies to ensure that your writing is legible, it has a credible voice, and of course, it is worth recognizing by a publisher to be given a space in their reputed publication. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your responses. Let's move on. Now, I told you the tense used in citation is going to be a discussion point today. This is not about voice, this is about tense usage, right? Now, sometimes you ponder whether I'm to go for past simple or present simple, or you're wondering whether, because some of the sources were very long in their date in the history, some of them are recent, but you have the problem of whether reporting it in past or present. So look at the two scenarios here. When do we use past and when do we use present? Look where to use past simple. Smith investigated. Actually, we record in simple past tense on the things that are taken from research or other literature to use for specific experiments, those completed in the past. That is just to report specific experiments completed in the past. So the very specific experiment is indicated in past tense. But look at where we use present simple. Smith argues. Now, you can indicate that Smith did this research in a particular time in past tense, but if Smith's finding is becoming a general truth, and of course, if it is, highly cited and used in current debate, and still you as author believe that he did something correct and it is still valid, so what you can do? You can switch to simple present telling that it's universal. Smith argues. So you noted that at the very first place, when you report the very significant experiment which happened once upon a time, you report it first in simple past. But the very study, or rather its consequences or data, are still valid, and you also take it in a greater weight. So you can switch to simple present because we are correlating, we are connecting to that study even now, which means it's something universal. So you say it in simple present tense. Did I properly answer where to use past simple and where to use present simple. Did it make sense? I want to see your response. Is the idea presented clear? This is not a big deal, unlike rocket sciences, this is very simple. This is language engineering, but still, you can do it in a nuanced way. Does it make sense, my dear friends? Thank you. Thank you. Yes, as Bhanuka indicated, present simple is the backbone because present simple actually sets the particular research discussion in your own logic or rather in your own paper, right? So if it comes into your discussion, that becomes the backbone. Simple present indicates that, most of the research is resonating with your own research as well. That's right, Bhanuka. So guys, let's move on. The black box, AI sources. AI or large language models, they are not search engines. They are not search engines. They are made for a different purpose. They are text generators. How do they do? They look at a large training database on which text appears in a particular order, particular pattern, and so on. So what you do, LLM simply predicts what word should come next. That's it. The problem is, unless connected to the web, Google Scholar, maybe ChatGPT does not connect. That's number one. Number two, you cannot guarantee that large language models are capable of grasping the meaning and creatively correlate it for your purpose. It is doing a probabilistic job. It's a job of probability. It's using an algorithm, it does. It simply predicts what word should come next. So it can predict only one thing, what a citation look like. So it knows that it should come in parentheses or brackets, it should be in italics, and it should have a year, it should have a page number reference perhaps. So that's only thing that AI can actually predict. It might go on hallucinating. Now, if you, in a previous statement, if you happen to refer to Smith, maybe AI, without your consent or without your request, maybe it is detecting that this is a Smith's work. That's number one. Number two, it might cite Smith for places where you do not need citation. Maybe that you need citation, but it's not Smith the same. Or maybe it's not the Smith the same in the same year and publication. So there where you have to be careful, right? So this pattern maker, large language model, may be inventing authors. Maybe they are inventing titles, and maybe they are inventing page numbers. If you're going to put them or rather accept them as it is, keep in mind you are fooled. You're fooled. You paid generative AI for subscription and you get its advice and you become yourself a fool. Don't let it happen because you're going to determine the future of the academia. Well, you know what is hallucination? Hallucination, which means, AI, it generates plausible sounding but factually incorrect information. ChatGPT might, or rather any language model might cite Vergras A 2024, The Future of AI, Nature 45.2. So this is a perfect citation in surface. In its first look, it looks like perfect citation, and you might even be inspired or rather, stimulated by this. Oh. And you might go back and see whether Vargas wrote such an article on this title, right? Or rather, is it an article that was published a century ago, but cited in this particular case as 2024? Maybe the Vargas has gone to heaven by then, but still you say he published in 2024. Now, don't make yourself a fool. Don't be caught up in this, know the hallucination possible within AI and simply avoid that. So we are going to try and convince ourselves the hallucination trap. I'm providing you a prompt. Go to ChatGPT or any language model and invite it with this prompt. Write a paragraph about, you can add the specific niche engineering topic, and include 3 citations from 2023. Now, this is an example of you delegate language model to write on behalf of you, right? So take your next tab of the Internet Explorer to open ChatGPT or any generative AI you are using, and give this prompt, write a paragraph, and within parentheses, you can add your niche of engineering, right? A niche engineering topic, and include 3 citations from 2023. See what it does. And once your language model provided you with citation, get that citation and go to Google Scholar. I'm sure that all of you have a Google Scholar account, and see whether such an article is actually existing there. Now take about 5 minutes to do this and have a brief, or rather have a simple statement how you felt this hallucination trap is working. So I want everyone to convince yourself, self-convincing, how tricky this hallucination business is. Do it by yourself and report me back in chat, or you may speak and tell me how hilarious it is. Take this time for that. I'll be going on mute for 2 minutes just to do an urgent task. Yeah, you know what it is. I've been sitting here for nearly 1.5 hours. I need a bit of movement, right? Okay, just do this in the meantime in the backdrop and report me back how it went. Hello, friends. I'm back. I have got a response from Banuka. Yes. Banuka, let me ask one question. You must be using a subscribed ChatGPT version, aren't you? Is it the free version? If it is free version, the second step should be you are going to visit that with the link and see whether they are credible sources. If it is providing such credible sources, it could be a first place where you start to believe on ChatGPT's power, right? But keep in mind that this power is not a persistent, consistent power, right? Maybe on a general topic, it can do that, right? Yes, maybe because it's an old day, 2023 is relatively little old, but still topic generalizability, and of course, maybe the time which it was published, maybe that there are research, but still, even though it gives right sources, my advice, as ChatGPT itself says, always double check with a reliable database, accessing it, viewing it, probably better for your safety, better you keep it downloaded and record and add it to Zotero or whatever reference management tool that you're using so that you have a record where you're using it, right? Okay. Well, now lots of appraisals coming on ChatGPT's power. It presents the citations without DOI. Okay. So my idea is this. You can invite it to do bit of, such an experiment, but what you have to be careful is the LLM itself gives a warning disclaimer. What's it? Better you double check it before integrating it into your writing. So keep that in mind. Do that part. And if you do that part, you are not going to be caught up in this business, right? Okay. Let us move forth and see what is left there. The ethics of AI paraphrasing. Is using AI to rewrite text, is it cheating? Now, this is actually the distinguishing between legitimate use of it and how dishonestly you might use it, right? You can use AI to polish your own rough notes now, which means you have seen the particular article, you have read it, and you have certain rough notes with you, and you are inviting generative AI to polish it up. Okay, that's simply editing. Dishonesty comes when AI to paraphrase a PDF you haven't read. Now, you found the PDF and you fed it and asked it to paraphrase. Now, what you are missing is, actually, you might be gaining an advantage on time, but your cognitive process of understanding, your cognitive involvement in dealing with that text is missed. Don't do that, right? The rule is you must verify the accuracy of AI's paraphrase against the original source. Now, if you have to verify AI's paraphrase with the original source, you have to keep engaged with original as well, right? So what I am doing quite simply is I actually first read the text and then, I go on simply annotating it, highlighting certain points, and after annotations, I take the summary or rather, extracts in my own words. I keep it aside. And then I send it to Notebook LLM or rather ChatGPT or any other language model for which I'm subscribed actually. I allow the LLM does the same. And when LLM does it, I double check whether the paraphrase given by LLM and the paraphrase done by me are tallying. Tallying in the sense they might not be verbatimly tallying, but still, if the idea is as a gist the same, which means you can rely on LLM's product. And perhaps, maybe, LLM's reading could be much more inspiring than what you did. But keep in mind that LLM does not know what you want, right? What you want to extract from that is a decision of yours. It's a human decision, which you did in your paraphrase. Therefore, don't be misled, because you extracted something which is useful for your own theme, for your own logic, for your own research question. It is something that is processing in your brain, not in generative AIs, because it hasn't got a brain. It's just a machine which makes patterns out of probability. So what we are trying to share with you is the good practices where you can use the technology. In the meantime, you can simply be smart, right? Yeah, Aslam, you say you are using Copilot. It is giving me with cited websites as well. And let me suggest you one of the very reliable generative AI assisted models available in academia is STORM, Stanford, STORM, Stanford database, on which you can simply invite STORM on the key terms that you want to do research. You can ask it to do a write-up, and it gives actually a summary and up-to-date write-up based on the articles it can cite, and it gives even a citation index with list. You are given a reference below so that you can double check the things, and you can check whether the claim is actually there in the original. And that is a way of getting access to where these research exists and what it is moving on. That is STORM, STORM. It's a Stanford-based platform. You can try STERM, STORM. Well, thank you. That is a bit of input about using the modern technology and its modalities. Well, this is actually a new technique that I'm going to discuss with you. Integral was non-integral citations. Now, when you're getting citations into your write-up, you can integrate it or you can keep it non-integrated. How? When an integral citation is going in, you give author the prominence, right? And when you are going for a non-integral citation, you are not giving prominence to the researcher, but perhaps you are giving prominence to the detail, information, and data in that particular source. So look at the examples. Smith 2019 claims that X is Y. This is simply, just a statement that I wrote. This is author prominent citing strategy. And this is used when you want to critique or highlight the author. Now say Smith's claim is going to be argued by you. And in that argument, you are going to prove he's right or wrong. It's a secondary matter. But if you go on such an effort, what you can do is you can go for integral citation strategy, where we give prominence to the author and we go on describing. And the second is, you do not worry about actually who did it, but what matters most is what comes as data and information and facts in the research, for which you use the non-integral. There, how we write. X is considered to be Y. Now you see, Smith is actually kept aside. We are taking the significant information in that particular research. use when the fact is more important than the person. Now, this is indeed the case of using passive voice as well. When the action gets prominence, we use active. When what happened is important, we get the passive. So, you do not need to take it in such a general term, but I'm just telling you, integral and non-integral citation strategy is quite simply about how you can get author prominent citation and information prominent citation in your writing. Is this something new, or is this something you are known? Can somebody respond me? The integral and non-integral citation strategy, is this something new or something familiar to you? Thank you, Rismi. Thank you, Tilina and Minura. Aslam. So that's why I told you at the very onset. Kusal, yes, direct and indirect citation, but still, this is how it is referred in literature, integral and non-integral. Yes, what you're saying is right. So friends, what we are here is to find what writing research finds as, leading strategies in establishing convincing logic in scientific writing, right? Bhanuka, to add into your point, integral is used in weak arguments, I guess. Your guess is not exactly correct. Integral and non-integral is serving two purposes, not the prominence or the how weak and strong your argument is. It is to give prominence to what you are really worrying about. Now, in integral, you actually start to give prominence to the author who did that research, whereas the other form, non-integral, you are giving prominence to the findings. That's it. What Manura says is quite right. Now, quite simple. When you start reading literature, particularly research articles, you detect these things, right? That personal, understanding is the most effective way, but I know that it's not the case of everyone, right? That's why we are giving you what is happening in the real research on writing. And I'm sure that, as Manura happened to note, if research writing, or rather if research on writing says that they are the effective strategies, yes, what you have detected naturally while reading literature is quite right, yes. So we confirm your hypothesis. That's an effective way. Well, we'll go forth and see what other strategies have we got to discuss today. The syntactic strategy, nominalization, which we were talking early, nominalization means, turning the verb into nouns, right? And by doing that, we make the sound, the writing sound more objective or formal. Look at this example. The material eroded quickly. The material eroded quickly. Now, erode is the verb which is used in the original, but you get the nominalization, you convert erode into its noun form. Eroded quickly, you convert that whole phrase into rapid erosion, right? The material eroded quickly, so you report it in your own way with nominalization. Rapid erosion of material was observed. Now you see, this shifts from focus of the action, focus is moved from action to the concept. You see? And this is actually a strategy that you can tackle plagiarism softwares. And of course, with this particular strategy, what happens is you are going to internalize the source material much more strongly than you do it the other way around. Well, we are coming to another task. Transform these sentences using nominalization. There are 3 sentences. Take about 6 minutes, not 10 minutes exactly. Take about 6 minutes and do it and send your response in chat. Right? So you can continue. Here it is given as some of the fronts, in the example, we have done part of your work. Therefore, it's not going to be a very big deal. I'm sure, these practices will help you make your writing more and more nuanced. Come on, let's do this. When I give examples starting with some prompts, it might be easy, but it might be putting you in much more complication because what comes into your mind is given here so that you have to find something new. So friends, you have 5 minutes to try it and send me in chat. The subtitle facility in the slides is a little tricky. I can't even talk something privately at home, even though the mic is muted. You'll be able to see them in subtitles converted. Don't worry, the bit I happened to reveal there was not relevant to you. Just a discussion at my room. So I'm waiting for your responses on chat. Aslam, yes, you can either complete the sentence I started or rather you can invent your own beginning and sentence. But, analyzed is literally converted to analysis when it is making a noun. That part you cannot change, but, you can either begin with what I started there or else you can have your own brand new sentence. Friends, let's be a little quick. We might be short of time. Thank you for starting it, Dharani. Yeah. You don't need to try all three at once. Whatever half you are done, just send it to chat. Thank you, Risma. Thank you, Nilakshana. Great. When I sense that, you are doing in the backdrop, that adds to my pleasure. Great, Manur. Well, so keep up doing this. I'll be uploading the slides onto Moodle, and it is this morning that I happen to assign your assessment task in the workshop, which is happening in Moodle. Go ahead with that. I'm sorry for the last 24 hours. I was a little busy. That's why I could not respond to some of your use on Moodle. But I think it's now set. You all can evaluate your friends' write-ups. And when you're doing the evaluation, take it as a point of sort of self-learning, because you are evaluating someone else's material. When you are evaluating, you become the reviewer, right? So there you can assume what a reviewer typically expects from you. And this is what we call democratic assessment, where you are the one who is assessed, and what we give you to play the role of an assessor, by which you properly convince yourself how this thing could be properly done. And this is one way of giving feedback as well. So you know that how your reviewer might feel when he is using a rubric and give you feedback. So consider that this is a sort of a mutual process, reviewing and writing, right? So I invite you all to have a very good friend in your fellow research writers, where they have little time to spare on behalf of you, reading bit of your writing. Or rather, you can get this input free of charge from generative AI. They will be able to give you feedback based on, if you set the rubric, what sort of an assessment you're expecting. And when you give it the input, it will give you feedback. So keep yourself always responsive to feedback. That is actually the secret formula of becoming a successful writer. Well, let's move to the slides further. Connecting sources, which we call the synthesis. You start with sources, you read it and you write. And then you get the whole write-up ready. Don't just list the sources. Now, some of you say Smith and Jans and Sins and Wolfandol all found. So this is just a listing of things, right? So just going beyond listing them, try to get them connected, because I told in the very first place today Now, in this writing business, what you're doing is you are connecting the dots, right? Drawing the line. So you connect your reader with the text that you're using on the basis of your argument with your own piloting happens all there. So connect them appropriately as you want it. In this connection formula, you can use these three pillars as central. First thing is agreement. You can get the agreement of researcher A, B, and C on the same thing. You can get them as sort of an agreement. And then you can get one researcher contrast with another researcher, how, or maybe on the methodology terms, maybe on the findings, on whatever way. If you're going to contrast, that is a way of getting engaged, right? And the third thing is maybe the one writer is doing one research, and based on that research, taking it further, the other writer might be doing something else. So that progression could also be taken into this, your connectivity of sources. So ensure that you connect them, and then only your reader feels, oh my God, this guy happened to know about this particular subject. Yes, he knows who did it, when it is done, and what the first research is going to be contradicting or rather contrasting with the second. All that is part of your agency. By writing such a connected way, what you're doing is you're convincing your reviewer, your reader, that you have fully engaged in research, in literature, so that you are making your claims very strong, so that your reader has to believe it, because you connect the rest of the research into your logic. I hope you got my point. Did you? If you have got the point what I said here, please give me a thumbs up. Disappointing, not a single thumbs up. Not a single thumbs up. It's not a big deal. I know that it's a very simple thing that you already do. I'm sure that you got it. Well, shall we move forth? Now, here what I have given is a phrase bank of linking words. Now, this is part of the language input. In your synthesis, you can actually indicate these markers, to make the connecting of those lines. Dots, you can use these linking verbs, and you can actually search, or rather you don't need to search. If you start reading research articles, you'll see that these linking words coming up nicely, what we call interlacing the logic, one on top of it, one next to it, one in contrast with it, and so on. So this phrase bank is not a big deal, but still, when you're reading through, you will realize that, they are nicely connecting the line from A to B to C to D. Well, there is a bit of a synthesis matrix workshop. What is the task? Take 2 papers relevant to your thesis. Write one sentence that connects them. You take 2 papers and you're going to write one sentence connecting the 2, in which you are going to say whether these 2 researchers agree or disagree, or is it bringing one from one state to another updated state. So this is going to be just a simple task that I will be uploading as a task to Moodle, right? So keep in mind that you clear all the doubts what I'm expecting here. This analytical task will be posted on Moodle as your submission point, because it's really, really needy, or rather essential, for us to know that you do research by yourself, getting the support of AI ethically, right? You know what I'm telling, right? Okay. Can I leave myself silent for 30 seconds, entertaining questions from you if you have got? Maybe any comment, any question, or anything that you want to put into the discussion, please raise your voice because I am greedy to hear from you. Friends, don't disappoint me. Please speak something, maybe a nonsense, but still really, really inspiring because I feel then I'm not engaging with a screen alone, but I'm engaging with an intelligent human being, a friend next to me, listening to me and engage with me. Please convince. Some of you are still in the processing of the previous task. It's okay, great, go ahead. But in the meantime, if someone can break the silence and simply speak with me, I'll be more than happy to hear it. Please. Yeah, I can sense you, Jitmal, Manura. Yes, yes, I understand. Friends, please respond. Those who are capable of responding, just speak a little and tell us how you feel, or rather, anything that made your life easy with our discussion so far. Did I waste your time? Something to console, something to add solace to me? Something to sense me that I'm dealing with the living human crowd?
So just a request. I don't know whether it is possible to accommodate. I'm just. I think some of these important points we might be just using it again and again. So some of the personal notes might be useful when you are doing the research. So if possible, if you can share some of the slides. I think we have already got the first one.
Yeah.
Even this one with the examples and all the in your own wording, so which is familiar to us, if we can note it down in our own short form, that will be useful for us. So is it possible to share maybe a PDF or a just a printable form, not even a we can copy it from, just the examples and basically the note. I don't know whether it is possible. If possible, that will be great.
Right. So that's a wonderful request, and we are very much willing to accommodate them. Yes, slides for sure will be uploading, and on top of that, I'll be able to provide you with a synopsis of the work I've done, so that you have an outline, or rather, a very precise note on what we've done on each day. That is possible. But to tell you frankly, I am a bit more spontaneous. Now, true that, the slides, I should acknowledge it's Miss Ashwini who prepares these slides. She prepares slides, that's true. And, the synopsis is usually prepared by me. And then when things come on slides, I am much more into the spontaneous talk. Therefore, I do not really take notes. That's why it's difficult for me to set up a not, but still the synopsis and of course slides and whatever possible will be made available for you all to download from Moodle. We'll do that. So I'll be posting 2 synopses today, one on the first 2 sessions and the other on today's session. Because they are actually the material we prepare, we can share them with you all. Well, thank you with that, thank you for raising your voice, that is interesting and, stimulating and convincing us that, you guys are engaging with us. Well, let's move on. That is pretty much the little manual work we were targeting. If you could remember the learning outcomes, we were looking at a couple of things. We were trying to put them in practice, both on theoretical and practical views. Yeah, what you can see here is how the prompt engineering and AI could resolve the patchworking check. Patch writing, which is reducing or rather which is belittling your writing effort, could actually be polished with AI, right? Look at the prompt I've given. You see, I simply invite with this prompt, I have paraphrased the source below. Please compare my draft against the original text. Tell me if I have written too much of the original sentence structure or vocabulary. Do not write it for me, just highlight the parts that are too similar. Now you see, this is one of the ways that you can make your interaction with AI is meaningful and it's made to learn something, right? You purposely do this to ensure that you engage with it with a vibe of learning. So you simply advise ChatGPT or rather generative AI to not to write it for you or rewrite it for you. You provide your source, you provide your write-up, and you ask the generative AI to give a similarity highlighting, right? Which parts are too similar, which parts are effectively done, and so on. So such a review would serve once again as a feedback for you on the way that you are doing, because it's your agency. It's the way that you are doing this knowledge business is the most important thing, not simply, the product that you are bringing in, but also the process that you are involved in, because it's the process that ensures that you took some learning out of it and you are capable of doing something new. But, if we are going to assess you just by the product itself, these days, you can make a product by, simply delegating it to someone else. There are, thesis writers, there are assignment writers online who can do things on behalf of you. That's why I actually often and, frequently urge our universities to alter its assessment paradigm, assessment regime from product to process. Now here, if you see, now when you and me are dealing with this little exercises, what I want you is to try it and send it in a form of a chat or whatever way. What happens there is, you learn a matter and you apply it and you send it back to me. Now, if you're going to do it in, once again, a cheeky way, getting AI involved and you delegate it to AI and send me back the report, just imagine that it's not I am being cheated. It's you cheat yourself because you misuse your opportunity to get it involved by yourself, get involved with the learning process. You simply delegate it to someone else and your process is actually an absurd, fruitless, not an investment, but a waste. Well, so these are simple ways that you can simply check your patch writing, whether they are sensibly revealed or not. So make use of those features available. So you can do the same for reporting verb selection. You can ask once you're done with reporting verb choice, you can ask, see the prompt. I want to cite a paper that claims, you can insert the claim, but their evidence is weak, tentative, such as 5 different reporting verbs I could use to introduce this citation that accurately reflects this low level of certainty. Explain the nuance of each verb. You see, these are creative ways that you can get the support of generative AI, right? Not just letting the generative AI to write on behalf of you. Be yourself the writer and master your writing, and you'll be improving on it if you use the AI for these what we call constructive purposes. And the next thing I was thinking of talking today is avoiding plagiarism of structure. Even if you change the words, copying the logical flow of a paragraph is structural plagiarism. Plagiarism is detected at different levels. Structural plagiarism is, logical flow. If you are copying the logical flow of the original article with your own paraphrase, that's also, detected by plagiarism softwares, because that's how the algorithm is written. If the source discusses A and then B and then C, you should not discuss A, then B, then C in your own words. What you can do is you can make a collective discussion. You see the remedy? Combine the sources B with another author's B. Structured by topic, not by source. Now, you can use the two strategies we thought, the surgery elements we did. And you can go into more holistic, different flow from the original, so that you'll be simply passing the hurdle of plagiarism flagging. Well, with more insight, now this is what one of you ladies happened to raise at the beginning: quoting versus paraphrasing in STEM. In engineering and science, direct quotes are rare. Keep that in mind. Direct quotes typically come in humanities researchers because they deal with qualitative analysis. In qualitative analysis, it is required for us to use the original in our analysis. Now, quotes simply suggest the wording is as important as the fact. Now, you see the logic where we are going to use quote. When the wording and fact both remain significantly relevant, you go for a quote. In STEM, facts are the paramount significance, right? Paraphrase everything unless the definition is unique or statement is controversial. You see, if you are contrasting two controversial theories, you can take the two theories together in a quotation, or rather, if you're taking a definition or theory into question, you can quote, no worries. But in STEM, remember, if you are simply getting used to take the paramountly significant facts into the discussion, better you go for not quoting, but paraphrasing, right? The rule of thumb is 50% or less of your thesis should be direct quotes. Now, you can fill your thesis with direct quotations and, achieve the word count, but it's not writing, it's not synthesis. It's simply what? Simply a task that a word processor does. In a higher degree research, we actually do expect you to do research. Researching is not only about your laboratory research, but also researching literature, researching, your writing identity. All those are put into an experiment and research while you're doing this research. So keep that in mind. That's how you can invest on your writing journey. These are little advices, right? Workshop task 6, the quote killer. Find a direct quote. Ask if the specific wording is unique or is it just a fact. Paraphrase it, turn the quote into a data point. Can we take from each of your experiences a very well, maybe very interesting, simple thing in your own field where you are in, can you take a direct quote and try paraphrasing it and show me in a contrast how the direct quote and your paraphrasing is going to be contrast you to one another. Shall I give you 5 to 10 minutes for this? Would that be all right? Give me a thumbs up if you like the work, or else I can switch to the next task. If you like to do the work, please say yes and indicate it with thumbs up. Oh my God, all of you are giving me a thumbs up, which means you like to do the task, right? Wow. Okay, we'll switch between the slides. You must be knowing this particular thing, self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism is simply your own previous work you copy here. Now, this is happening naturally and by mistake as well. So, for example, you have written a research paper or rather a review article on the topic, and you are dealing with the same thing in your thesis. So, if your review article is published, then when by the time you're writing the thesis, your writing is there as a cited work. You can cite them, but when you're going to citing, keep in mind that there is a there's a great chance that you may come with what you have written as it is in verbatim form because you are the one who crafted it. But if you are using your own words as it is in your own thesis, that is also once again self-plagiarism. You have to be careful of this, right? So how can you do it? So you can do a bit of recycling, right? And the best thing is you practice paraphrase not only on other research sources, but also on yours as well. On the things that you have published, keep a record so that you know, and always keep the manuscript next to you so that you know what wording, what trying that what style you were trying there. So you can alter that little and make it not self-plagiarized. And yes, in your write-up, it is really, really significant for us to use the signaling words because as I told you on the very first day, what we are doing is quite simply, we are communicating something on crystal clear manner. I told you the very word, telepathic communication. Telepathic in the sense, I have the idea in my mind and your reader knows not what is in your mind, but by your write-up, by reading what you wrote, the same idea without any loss of information is communicated to your reader. For this, actually, the signaling words simply easing the way. It's like, when you shift a gear, the reader knows you shifted the gear. And if you pause, the reader knows you pause. So these signaling words are really, really important, right? Without signals, remember that the reader might get lost. Who is speaking, where in the story I am, and so on, right? Well, the sandwich method of citation. Just look at this. Never leave a citation naked. It's not nice to keep citation naked. That will tell that you are not prepared. Okay, sandwich it. How? You can use a top bun. Introduce the concept and claim at the beginning. This is little formulaic, but it will help you, I'm sure. And then you put the meat layer. What's it? The citation, the evidence. Best in paraphrase, but if you feel like it should be in quotation, take the quotation, add that meat layer, and then there is a bottom layer where you give a commentary explanation into your cited thing, so that you see the sandwich is the optimal formula for making citations authentically involved without being flagged as plagiarized, right? So try this sandwich method. And the same method is discussed in other forms like PEE, peeing. P is to say point, E is for evidence, and the second is for explanation, which is, of course, another interpretation of the same sandwich. So you bring the point and then citation and then explanation, right? I wish the idea is clear. Is it? Build a sandwich. Build a sandwich. This we all want to do. The source fact is graphene has high conductivity. The citation is given. So you are going to write a 3-sentence paragraph, putting the layer bun, first layer bun, and then the cite, and then the lower layer bun. So we are going to try the sandwich. Introduce the need for conductive material, and then cite, nevertheless, cite this researcher. And in third sentence, you write, explain why this property is vital for your specific project. So just take a couple of minutes, maybe 2 to 3, and think it, draft it on your paper, and then type it and send back to me on draft it on your paper or on word processor. Send me back in chat. Is the idea clear? We are going to put the sandwich in action. Time
Sir,
begins.
can you explain it once again?
Well,
How we can do that recycling thing?
you mean the activity or the recycling?
Activity.
Right. Now, what we are doing is, in this sandwich, what happens is, we generally begin with introducing the concept that or claim that we are going to do. That's the top layer. And then once the introductory part claim is stated, then we get the citation in. So it's the middle layer, right? And then after getting the citation in, we go on explaining the thing. That is simply the sandwich making process. So here we have given a clear citation and clear guidance on how you should bring this into a sandwich. You introduce about this concept of conductivity and graphene. Graphene is high conductive material. So you introduce with a sentence the need for conductive material, and then you take this citation in as a meat layer, and then you explain the specific project. Got it?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. Take about 3 to 5 minutes and do this and send me your response on chat. Friends, I'm back. And thanks that some of you have sent your responses. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. So you are beginning to be the chefs, right? Making sandwiches. Great. Great. So keep on posting. Keep on posting. I appreciate your efforts. Yep. And let me tell you frankly now, the workshop that we set in Moodle, I'll be keeping a workshop every week because, this is how we can establish your way of getting engaged with yourself and with your peers. It's only through this interactivity that you're going to learn. You read, you write, your reading is read by a third person and you receive the feedback. And we are going to imitate that whole process in our Moodle workshops. You write, you give it for someone else to evaluate, and in the meantime, you're going to be part of the evaluation of others. And we provide clear rubrics. How can you assess them? And with all that, you learn how the assessment happens, number one. Number two, this whole process itself is learning. And that's why our philosophy of learning and teaching, this is how we believe that learning can occur. I appreciate all those who are sending your responses here, and I am much obliged for them. And we are actually a little behind half an hour, right? So we'll move on further on sandwich. In the meantime, your sandwich could be sent so I can taste it. Yeah, sent in chat. Well, for reference formatting, are you going to use AI? This is safe use. See, here is a list of DOIs, format them to IEEE style. You have the reference list and you invite your generative AI to convert the stylistics effects, like, from IEEE to APA maybe, right? Just do that part, but, letting the subscribed or unsubscribed version of your generative AI to do the synthesizing of your list is not a good thing to think, right? Yes. Unsafe task is if you simply allow them to create bibliography for you, they might be creating their own citation, they might fabricate their own citations and give you, because it's a pattern maker, right? So those are little advices I'm repeating once and again because I want you all to avoid that, right? Detecting AI writing in sources. Remember, be skeptical on sources that sound like AI. The other day also you happened to raise this point. Science, bland, perfectly grammatical, but empty sentences. Excessive use of inclusion is important to know. Now remember, these LM models are actually, as I told often, you must be tired of listening to it, they are pattern makers. They'll be repeating patterns and they'll strictly follow the grammatical rules. When you get just grammar alone, just structure alone, but the essence is empty, it's invent writing. So how can you verify it? If a paper in your lit review sounds generic, verify the data tables. There where you can check it. AI often struggles to generate specific complex data. Now, this is a difficult, or rather, still developing area of AI. If they are going to compromise between data given in a table, complex data, and that in description, they find, lots of irregularities there because it's not about what they're trained for. They are trained for text pattern making, but not detecting, synthesizing, organizing, and all that. But still, there are some talents they originally bring in, but verify the facts with sources. Citing source you haven't read, be careful. If you see that, in many reviews, particular source is cited here and there, don't try to understand that particular original material in the interpretations of the later reviewers. Just get the access to original and read it, and then deal with the views given by research A and B, review A and B. So this actually is propagating error. If researcher A uses the original paper for his own purposes, he must have, or rather might have, interpreted the original idea in favor of his logic. Person B could be doing it in favor of her logic. So if you are going to rely on A and B's logic, you are going to miss your point. So you reach often what? The original article and go there. We call this telephone game. Y might have misinterpreted, maybe X interpreted in the bias of his own logic, right? Always track down the original primary source. If you can't find it, cite Y as cited in Y. So when you cite it, you give what is cited by whom on which, and citing alone, and you are not going to get that part of, you are not going to interpret on their side. So here is a little list of paraphrasing, right? When you are done with the paraphrase, see, did you change the subject of the sentence? Subject of the sentence is the grammatical subject as well as, the very discussion subject. Did I change the word form? Noun, verb, nominalization, denominalization. Can you remember? And choose a reporting verb. See whether you have chosen a reporting verb appropriate to match it. And then see whether the citation is correctly added. And see the new sentence is fitting into my paragraph flow. So these checklists are really, really important because your writing is your story, and that story is what is getting published, and that will be the one that will be cited by future researchers. So have a checklist like this to ensure that you are doing it perfectly. And keep a disclaimer on your use of AI, because you are using AI. Remember, you acknowledge it and verify, right? Verify and acknowledge it. And non-native speakers whom we are, right? For us, it's a hard task, but use this strategy. Focus on syntactic restructure, changing grammar, rather than just swapping synonyms. Don't go on that old game of, simply finding synonyms, or rather using antonyms and negation and all that. Try to restructure the syntax of the sentence. Synonyms often have different connotations. Word has two levels of meaning. First level is denotation, which is given in dictionary. But based on the word's appearance in certain contexts, they might be having connotations, other meanings that are relying highly on the context the particular thing appears. Therefore, be careful about that. The best thing is syntactic restructuring. Look at the syntax of the sentence and restructure that. That will make your paraphrase much more legible. Well, the role of voice. Academic integrity is about preserving your voice. Now remember, your writing is yours and your story is yours. You are the narrator, writer, crafter of it, and it's your story. Keep your voice in it, not the generative AI's voice, not the reviewer A's voice, not anyone else's voice, but your own voice in it, right? Your voice is a human voice, and remember, AI's voice is a robotic voice. You are a synthesizer and a creative human mind, and AI is simply a pattern creator. Keep that in mind. Do paraphrases effectively, then your writing will be very much logic centered. Well, let's move on to the next slide. Perhaps the last workshop task, final synthesis. This is a homework preparation. See, carefully read it. Select 3 key sources for your thesis. Write a 100-word paragraph synthesizing them. You must use 1 natural verb, 1 tentative verb, one strong verb to show the difference in certainty between the sources. You can remember the hierarchy of what? Yes? Verb. Yes, that's it. Certainty. The levels of certainty indicated, neutral, tentative, and strong. Yes. We did one of those exercises there, and I'm going to set a Moodle work on this. Keep that in mind. And summary of today's session. We are coming to the end of it. We realize that patchworking is plagiarism simply, and we can cure it with syntactic surgery, right? And we come to know about reporting verbs, indicate your critical stance, choosing carefully the level of significance that you attributed with your reporting verbs, and avoiding AI hallucination, right? You verify every citation. And integrity is all about you project an argument of your own, and they are supported by data. Data are the sources you refer here and there from literature. So remember, with those takeaways, today we are going to conclude today's session, recommending these tools as part of your process. You can use Google Scholar for verifying citation. You can easily give the article to Google Scholar, or rather what you call SCI point, SciPoint, whatever you call it, you know what it is. And Google Scholar is a good and freely available source of detecting citations. And Scholar AI, which is a plugin, hallucination reduction could be done with it. And there is a Manchester app, which is called Academic Phrase Bank. If you want to find sentence templates, you can refer to Manchester. And to ensure the validity of citations, always use EndNote or Zotero or some reference management tool to have an annotation of what you are doing and the papers you are referring to. And with those recommended tools, we invite you to keep up on your writing. And friends, it's time for Q&A. Did you all post any questions there? Yes, Mendeley is also a wonderful research management tool. So friends, that's all in slides from my end. Now it is for us to discuss if you have got any questions, or rather if you have any concerns to send here, this is the time for that. I'm waiting to hear what you all have got to say. මොකුත්ම කියන්නේ නැද්ද මට අද? I wish we had a fruitful discussion with bit of